Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Emerald Fox, Vice President of Operations here at Zang Enterprises. If you're new here, welcome. And if you've been with us a while, thank you so much for being a part of our growing Sound Money community. Our goal is to take the confusion out of finance and economics so you can make clear, informed choices to protect your wealth and your future. Now, since Halloween is upon us, it feels only right to talk about something very spooky: zombies. But no, I'm not talking about The Walking Dead or World War Z. The zombies I'm talking about are far scarier because they are real. They're zombie corporations, zombie governments, and zombie consumers. They don't eat brains, they eat wealth. Instead of stalking dark alleys, they lurk in boardrooms and balance sheets, feeding on borrowed money and endless debt. Every stimulus package, every new credit card balance is another meal for zombies, and another reason real value disappears. And the scariest part, they look just like everyone else. So let's take a closer look at the zombies walking through our economy and how sound money is the cure. Let's start with the corporate kind. We've already hit the iceberg. The global economy is the Titanic, and zombie corporations are the cracks in the hull letting the water in. These are companies that for at least 3 years haven't earned enough to even pay the interest on their debt, let alone the principal. They're kept alive through cheap loans, bailouts, and creative accounting. But this wasn't an accident. It was engineered, a product of policies that turned debt into oxygen for the global economy. For years, money was nearly free. From 2008 through 2021, central banks around the world opened the floodgates of easy money. And here's what that really means. They slashed interest rates to near zero and printed trillions of dollars in a monetary experiment they called quantitative easing, or QE. It was meant to revive the economy, and what it really did was reanimate it. Like a financial Frankenstein, the system was shocked back to life with artificial stimulus, cheap credit, and endless borrowing. Corporations loaded up on debt, governments spent like there was no tomorrow, and consumers joined in, all believing the party would never end. Borrowing was cheaper than breathing. Money flowed like magic out of thin air, summoned at the push of a button. But here's the scary part. When money becomes this easy, it stops meaning anything. People stop asking what it's worth and start chasing the illusion of growth. Stocks soared, real estate inflated, and prices for everyday goods crept higher. It felt like prosperity, but it was built on credit, not creation. It wasn't real growth. It was financial necromancy, animating a system that was already dead on the inside. That created what economists call the everything bubble. Corporations borrowed endlessly because it was cheap. Banks kept lending because the illusion looked stable. But much of that money wasn't used for growth. It went to stock buybacks, executive bonuses, and short-term appearances. It's happened before. In Japan during the 1990s, zombie firms stayed alive thanks to the government's support after their bubble burst, causing what became known as Japan's lost decade. Now history is repeating itself, but on a global scale. Over the next 24 months, more than $4.5 trillion in corporate debt must be rolled over, most of it junk rated. With interest rates rising and credit tightening, many of these companies simply can't refinance. They'll default, and when they do, it won't just affect the corporations, it will ripple through derivatives, credit swaps, and the financial system as a whole. Again, we've already hit the iceberg, but most people only see the tip above the surface. Now, zombie corporations aren't the only ones feeding off borrowed time. Governments around the world have become zombies too. In the United States, the national debt has now surpassed $38 trillion. That's more than double what it was just a decade ago, and it's growing by the trillions every single year. To put that into perspective, after World War II, America's debt to GDP ratio was around 119%. Remember, that ratio is the measure comparing what a nation owes to what it produces. That means our national debt at that time was roughly equal to the total value of everything the country produced in a year. But back then, we were rebuilding and producing real goods. Today, that ratio is even higher, meaning we now owe far more than our entire annual economic output. We're now borrowing just to keep the lights on. And it's not just the United States. Japan's debt is over 250% of GDP. Italy's near 140%, and many others aren't far behind. These governments roll over old debt by issuing new debt and print new money to fill the gap. It creates a short-term illusion of strength, but long-term, it devalues every dollar you earn. We've seen this before. In 1920s Germany, Weimar hyperinflation made paper money worthless. People carried wheelbarrows of cash just to buy bread. Debt-driven systems always end the same way, with inflation, currency decay, and eventually a painful reset. And then there's the most relatable zombie of all, the zombie consumer. These are households that look financially stable but are buried in debt, using credit cards, auto loans, student debt, and buy now, pay later apps just to maintain their lifestyle. U.S. household debt has reached a record $18.2 trillion, with over $1.21 trillion just in credit card balances. With average credit card interest above 20%, many households are simply surviving, not thriving. It mirrors the 1920s when easy credit created an illusion of prosperity. When that bubble burst, the Great Depression followed. Different century, same story. So when corporations, governments, and consumers all depend on debt, you get a zombie economy, a system that looks alive, but it's hollow on the inside. And that's where sound money steps in as the cure. Gold and silver can't be printed, deleted, or inflated away. They hold intrinsic value, the kind that endures when paper promises fail. Throughout history, from Rome's collapsing denarius to the continental dollar of the Revolution to every fiat failure since, gold and silver have stood firm. Sound money is that lifeboat, because when the lights start to flicker and the financial fog rolls in, you don't want to be caught in the haunted house of debt. While the world sleepwalks through the zombie economy, you'll be the one wide awake holding real, tangible wealth that doesn't vanish when the spell breaks. Don't wait for the system's next jump scare. Protect what you've built and preserve your purchasing power with real, sound value. At Zang Enterprises, our team will help you craft a personalized sound money strategy that keeps your future secure. No tricks, just real protection. That's the treat. Click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen to schedule your complimentary consultation. And if you found this video valuable, please like it, share, and subscribe so we can keep on helping others see through the fog and escape the financial nightmare. I'm Emerald Fox. I'm wishing you a happy Halloween. And until next time, stay safe and stay smart.